attended presentations, speeches, talks that promise a lot but don't quite hit the mark? Hello, my name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Dale Carnegie Training here in Japan and the author of Japan Sales Mastery. We're broadcasting from our High Performance Center here in Akasaka in Minato-ku, the business center of Tokyo. Well, I was attending a talk given by a very specialist expert, and rather a technical talk. And I was sitting there listening to this, and I was thinking to myself, something's not quite gelling here. Something's not quite working for me with this talk. What is it? The person giving the talk, very well educated, very knowledgeable, real expert, gave us all the handouts, so a lot of graphs. So we had a lot of the graphs in a physical format there we could look at, as well as on the screen. Spoke with a very clear voice, quite good volume, so it wasn't hard to hear. But it was putting me to sleep. And I was thinking to myself, now why is that? What's missing here? What's going on here? And I think one of the problems with technical explanations is that we've got to really think about who's in the audience. Now, I'm sure if it was an audience full of people just like him, real technical experts, it'd probably be a roaring success. But I met a lot of people at that function, and there weren't too many people like him there who were at that level of technical expertise. There were a mixed group. Some would have been rather technical, most were not. I'm in the was not very technical group, and I struggled a bit with some of it, to be honest. But it was something about the way he was presenting that was the problem. I'm trying to think to myself, well, what is wrong here? His voice is clear, he's obviously knows his subject. And I think the problem was it was very flat. It was very technical, but no passion, no highlights, no storytelling, no things we could actually take and bring into our own lives and really rationalize and understand. It was at a very sort of abstract level, very, very abstract level, which is sort of a bit disjointed or a bit far from our daily reality. He couldn't take the technical components and break that down to something that we could relate to on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. So you never quite felt that, yes, this is technically very interesting, but what's it got to do with me? How does this relate to my business? How does this relate to what I'm doing every day in my work, in my job? So I think this is a lesson for all of us. When we're giving a rather technical talk, we have to remember who's in the audience. And they knew exactly who was in the audience because everyone's registered beforehand. You've got to put your name down, your rank and serial number, etc., company name, the whole works, so they know what level you are, where you work for, or who you work for, where you work. They know all that before you even get in the room. Yet, it was not pitched at the right level. Now, this is a lesson, find out who's in the room, work out where do I need to calibrate to hit the right communication lines with a group at that level of expertise. And also take dry numbers, graphs, trend lines, and bring them back to something that we can relate to. And tell stories about how that impacts in these countries that he's comparing, because he had a lot of broad comparisons, not just Japan, it was a number of countries. Bring it back to something that's going on, how that trend line actually impacts on the people in their community, how that shift impacts on the economy and therefore how it impacts on the society, how it impacts on my business. That was missing today. So it was rather remote, it was rather sort of technical but sort of abstract in a way. Be careful when we're presenting technical or complex things to always come back and relate it to our audience in a way that they can feel involved, they can feel I have some sense of where this is going. I see the relevancy of this to me and my business, and I think that was missing today. It was too abstract and not enough relevancy for people in business, in our case in Japan, or it doesn't matter where you're speaking, for that home audience. So there was a lesson, and also one other little thing. The volume of his voice didn't drop off at the end like that, which some people do like that. It wasn't like that. He had voice, tone, strength, consistency, but it ended on a sort of a down note. It wasn't an up note. It was just sort of ended like that. It wasn't like that. It was like that. Rather than like that, He didn't have that upswing at the end. You know, make a point and have a little bit of energy and a little bit of upswing at the end. It tended to be a bit depressing, to be frank. Maybe that's why it was putting me to sleep. Bring it up a little bit. Have a little bit of energy, a little bit of passion at the end, a little bit of interest, a bit of enthusiasm. Maybe that's what was missing. You need a little bit of enthusiasm for the subject, what his point is making at the end of the sentence, rather than just letting it sort of trail down, not in volume terms, but in passion, enthusiasm terms. It sort of died off a little bit. And I think maybe that's the nature of that technical business that he's in, or maybe that's just him as a presenter. I think you can be a very technical person, you can present very technical things, but you can still have a bit of enthusiasm, because if you're into that sort of thing, you're into it. So you're bound to have some passion about that, some interest about that. Let's feel that as the audience. We didn't get that today. So here's some lessons. Let's take what we heard here, look at how we're presenting, particularly doing technical things, and make sure we get it right. And if we do that, we will be very successful.